How do you get rid of the logo?
What logo?
That. What if I don't want any logo? There you go. All right, now we're live.
Oh, there's Alex already.
All right. Let me add him. What's up, dude?
How's it going? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect.
We're already live. So, yeah. We're live on YouTube, Facebook. I don't know how to... is someone in there so we can monitor comments? Can you pull up Facebook and someone else pull up?
I'll do YouTube. YouTube.
All right.
If you want to do Facebook.
Oh, wait.
I don't have Facebook.
All right. I have trailers I'm going to show for Jersey Devil and Last Frontier, which are not supposed to be out yet. So, yeah, the live audience will be seeing these probably the first and only time until they're actually debuting. Which Last Frontier is probably going to be a little while. Jersey Devil should be out probably at the beginning of October. Should we announce ourselves or not announce? Should we introduce ourselves? Yeah. I'm
this
Seth.
Is the announcement. We're going to tell you our names.
I'm Seth Breedlove. That's Courtney. That's Heather. And that's Zach. I'm the only one with a first and last name. That is Alexander Petikoff.
Oh, he gets the last names. Yeah.
I get the full name, huh?
It's the guys that edit. We have two names. All right, hold on. We're gonna start off. We're gonna do Jersey Devil first, and then we'll switch to Last Frontier. So this is the first look anywhere actually at our Bloodlines, the Jersey Devil Curse movie, which comes out on November 29th for some inexplicable reason, which we'll talk about later in this live stream.
Creature itself is kind of sort of like a deer with wings, head of a horse.
Descriptions of the Jersey Devil match with the popular concept of what the devil would look like if you were to encounter him, even though the Bible gives a slightly different answer to that question.
The Leeds devil was sort of like the boogeyman. They knew what you were doing. If you did anything bad, the devil was coming for you. There are a lot of newspaper reports into the 80s.
It seems to come in like little waves, and it's sporadic. I don't know how to account for that.
1735, a woman named Mother Leeds living in the depths of the Pine Barrens.
Mother Leeds was a witch.
And the father was the devil.
Gives birth to her 13th child.
The creature kills as many as it can, and then it flies off.
Trailer edit by Eli Watson, by the way. I forgot. Have to give credit to Eli for the trailer edit on that one. But again, that comes out on November 29th. We were hoping it was going to be out in time for Halloween, but unfortunately it was delayed by the distributor. Take it up with them. We again, we can talk about that more later. We have some plans in place for how to deal with basically deal directly with our fans and viewers going forward. So the other one we've got still coming out this year. Both of these titles are supposed to be out this year. If you're a Kickstarter backer, you'll actually be getting the link to Jersey Devil pretty soon. And Last Frontier should be up for end of the year. especially for backers. But this is just a teaser for Last Frontier. It's actually longer than the Jersey Devil trailer, but it's pretty much just imagery. So here's On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Last Frontier.
Alaska celebrates the long-awaited grant of statehood with enthusiasm worthy of gold rush days. There isn't a dog sled in sight. Anchorage is a modern city, but Alaskans go all out to celebrate. All that remains is a plebiscite, and Alaska will officially become the nation's 49th state.
The name Alaska is an Indian word meaning big land. The land area of Alaska is more than 1/6 that of all the other states combined. If the map of Alaska is placed over the map of the southern 48 states, it reaches from coast to coast. Since the state of Alaska is such a big land, it is a land of contrasts, a land of many different peoples, a land of widely varied climates. Alaska is building a permanent population on the promise of the great potential wealth held within its borders. The potential of growth for this new state is as unlimited as was the potential of the western territories of the United States when they became states of the Union. Alaska will grow as they have grown.
I don't know what order we're going in. All right. So the purpose of this live broadcast is to announce our projects for next year, for 2023. It might seem early to be doing that, but we have so much stuff that starts getting in the works still during this year that it's going to become obvious beforehand what we're working on to some degree. We actually start filming one of these titles in about a week. And so once we start doing that, like photos will be out and people say stuff online, and then everyone will find out before we have a chance to put out there what we're working on. So we wanted to go ahead and get the information out there as to what we're going to be doing. So, and I had a whole thing lined up here with a slideshow, and now I'm just going to have to pull up screen share and show you guys that. All right, hold on. I had to pull up specific. What's this one? Boom. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen. All right, hold on.
Wow.
Oh, great. No, what? System preferences. All right, someone else talk. Alex, what are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on more cryptid conversations. So you guys may have seen Bobo episode that came out. There's going to be obviously a bunch more of that. I know we have more plans to hopefully include interviews from other STM films as well, which should be exciting. You know, it's kind of the idea is, as was similar with the last Beyond the Trail, we have a lot of interviews that we've just stacked up over the years. I mean, just talk to so many people. Oftentimes the interviews can be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour long. I mean, it depends on how much the person talks, right? But sometimes some of that stuff doesn't make it into the films or the episodes just because of time constraints. You know, we have a kind of storyline, and we also have other points that are probably more relevant to what we're talking about. So, for example, we'll get a researcher that tells us a separate story about some Bigfoot encounter that happened that we just didn't really include in the main episode because it didn't kind of fit. So this is a chance to sort of put that kind of stuff out and, sort of not unedited, but, because there's B-roll and we like to kind of produce it a little bit, but, more of just a long form kind of interview format. So that's what I'm currently doing. And then this weekend, we're going to be going to Whitehall for the Whitehall Bigfoot Festival, Eli and I. So if anyone is there and going to be at the Sasquatch Calling Festival, we will be there hanging out. We'll be filming as well. We're going to do some Whitehall expeditioning. So it should be pretty exciting, but that's what we're kind of up to right at the moment.
All right. I actually figured this out. So I think as of right now, I'm confident I can do this. All right. So first of all, we have, there we go. All right. So we have the first announcement as far as like the date of the Kickstarter for next year, which is going to be February 2nd, 2023. We're going to do the 7 p.m. launch thing that we've been doing every year pretty much since we started doing this kind of stuff. We'll have the launch party on here, which if you've never been to one of our Kickstarters, what we do is we launch at like usually 7 p.m. People can take part in the Q&A, and we do trivia and all sorts of stuff. So it's very exciting. That is the first announcement, basically, that we've decided on a date. The next big one, what are we announcing first? What did we say we're doing? Oh, Alaska. No. All right. I don't have a video file for the Aaron thing on here though. Crud. Well, I do have. All right.
You can't share screen.
I can't do that. No. Okay. So we do have an announcement, and then I'm going to have to post this I'm going to have to post the other thing on our social media. So stay tuned. But this is the thing we're actually working on starting in about a week. And this is a very specific type of project. It's something we've never done before, and it actually ties into one of our first publishing works from STM Publishing, which why don't you, Heather, talk about the book?
Yeah, so this is a book written by Aaron Deese, whom you may know from Hey Strangeness.
Who's in the chat right now?
Who is in the chat right now on YouTube, yes. And also his birthday is the same day as our Kickstarter launch. So this is all perfect. So Aaron has been doing research into Dogman sightings in Texas and has actually seen a pattern that one could equate to a triangle of Dogman sightings in Texas, and wrote a book about it. And that is going to tie into one of our films for next year.
Yeah, so the film is the Dogman Triangle, Werewolves in the Lone Star State, and the book is titled The Texas Dogman Triangle. Nailed it. First shot right out of the bag. Which we have an amazing cover for that that was done by Jonathan Dodd. But we're really excited about the book. So we're doing a movie that ties into it and kind of builds off of it as well. It'll be something different, but it'll be a really nice like companion piece to the book. So we're excited about both of those projects and getting to work with Aaron. And we'll be, like I said, we'll be in Texas a week from Saturday, actually filming the movie, which also has our old friend Shannon LeGros involved. Yay. So we'll be traveling out west with Shannon and chasing Dogman around the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. Next up, let me see, what else do we got? Okay, so if I go in order, I'm going to go in order of release. So what that means is Texas Dogman Triangle, the Dogman Triangle is going to be a part of the Kickstarter and will also be the first film we're releasing next year, followed by On the Trail of Bigfoot, Land of the Missing, which is it's a part two. I guess it's a part 2. It's kind of its own separate thing, but it builds off of On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Last Frontier. This is a little different from the other On the Trail of Bigfoot movies. I think it's actually going to feel a lot like something like American Werewolves or even Invasion on Chestnut Ridge, while still being within the On the Trail of Bigfoot series. And this is a much darker look at the Alaskan Bigfoot mystery, obviously, which you can probably tell by the name. But while we were in Alaska, we encountered some correlations between a lot of the Bigfoot lore and witnesses, some of the things the witnesses recounted and stuff like that. And it led us in this direction. So the second movie in the Alaskan Bigfoot, what we hope to someday be the Alaskan Bigfoot trilogy, is going to be Land of the Missing. That will be premiering at Monster Fest, which is our 2023 Small Town Monsters Festival, essentially, that we're holding in downtown Canton, Ohio on June 3rd at the Doubletree. If you're interested in attending the festival, go to smalltownmonsters.com and look for the Monster Fest info.
Yeah.
Tickets, pre-order tickets and all that are all already available. But this movie, On the Trail of Bigfoot, Land of the Missing, is going to premiere on June 2nd, the night before Monster Fest's official kickoff at the Canton Palace Theater. So we're pretty hyped about that.
If you do the VIP upgrade to Monster Fest, you do get into the movie the night before as part of that package. Otherwise, you can get those tickets on the Canton Palace website once they post those.
Yes. So next after that, all right. Yeah, we're excited about this one. And hopefully everyone else is too. So we made American Werewolves this year, released it back in July, had an absolute blast working on it. It was a great deal of fun, especially for me on the post-production end of things. I had just an absolute blast editing the movie. Some really amazing witnesses. We want to build off that and turn American Werewolves into hopefully an ongoing series. We'll have to see if we can get keep it going. It'll obviously depend somewhat on our audience reception, but that will be our mid to late summer release for 2023. But we are very excited about this one. Obviously, given the name, this is going to take us out to the southwest of the United States. So we'll be filming. Probably, I'm hoping we'll get back to Arizona, maybe some New Mexico areas again, and really getting into some of the darker sides of the Dogman phenomenon. But that is another title we're putting out. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. We're going to save the other one for last. All right. On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Origin is our fourth feature film title. By the way, for anyone who's just a YouTube viewer who doesn't know this, we do feature films. You can find all of our movies on Amazon, Tubi, a lot of the streaming platforms. So if you're interested in watching our feature films, a lot of these are available on most of the other streaming platforms. So we do have a separation between the YouTube content we create and the films. But On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Origin is part of the On the Trail of Bigfoot series. It will track obviously the origin of the Bigfoot phenomenon in North America. Probably what we're looking at is the Willow Creek, Bluff Creek area of Northern California is probably where we're heading. So we're very excited about that one. Again, that's 4 titles. The surprise here, we've done 4 titles a year for I think 2 or 3 years now. But we are going to have a 5th feature film title this year or next year, and that is Cryptid, the Chupacabra, which So we've been asked for ages to do a Chupacabra movie within the Small Town Monster series. That's what this is going to be. The hook, the catch here is this movie will exclusively be available to Kickstarter backers. So if you are a Kickstarter backer in the 2023 Kickstarter campaign, you will have access to this movie. If you are not, you will probably eventually get access to it, but it's going to be a very long time down the road. This is exclusively going to be made available to Kickstarter backers. And that kind of brings us around to what I mentioned earlier, which is every year it becomes more difficult for us as a company to put out feature films through distributors, mostly because we do not matter to them in the long line. They just don't put much focus on our films for whatever reason, and we've seen it hit pretty heavily this year with the botched launch of American Werewolves, which still ended up being a huge release for us, but we think it could have been better handled. And so what we really want to do is encourage anyone who's a Small Town Monsters viewer to back the Kickstarters, not because we want a donation, but because it's going to be the best way for you to guarantee you actually are getting the movies when we want to be putting them out. And we want to get this to the point where Kickstarter is the number one way in which we are selling to our audience, because we want the audience to be able to get it the way we want to put it out. Dealing with distributors just has become an ongoing nightmare. And I'm sure if you're a Kickstarter backer, you could back me up on this. Backers of the campaign for 2022 are going to have access to Jersey Devil in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So they're going to have access to the movie almost 2 months ahead of everyone else. So at this point, being a Kickstarter backer just makes a ton of sense. And for us, it makes a ton of sense to sell directly to the audience who helps fund the movies. So we're hoping, if you've never done it before, that stuff like Cryptid, the Chupacabra, will help bring you around to backing, because ultimately that puts the distribution model right in our own hands, which is how we like to do things at STM. So that takes us through all the film projects we have coming this year. We are going to open this up at the very end for questions, so hang in there if you have questions about stuff, because we're gonna bring it back around. We do have Alex, so let's go ahead and talk about Bigfoot Beyond the Trail, which is still running. Even right now, we just put out an episode this past Sunday, which was a really fun witness encounter episode. So I wanted to bring Alex on so Alex can talk about all the stuff we have planned going forward with Bigfoot Beyond the Trail. So Alex, take us there.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. We've seen a lot of, different types of episodes we've done, obviously, with Bigfoot Beyond the Trail. At this point, it's been, almost a little over a year and a half that we've been doing them at this point. And we've been to so many different locations. So what I wanted to do is kind of share, like we sort of did last year, share some of the locations we're thinking about going to. And I'll start with places that might be familiar to folks. So ones that we've already been to that we think are pretty intriguing. So I have a little list here, and then I'm going to talk about ones we'd like to go to that are kind of on the docket. And there's also kind of an absolute stretch goal one that, if we could go there, that would be incredible. And we'll talk about it. But so people obviously know we did a big sort of series, 4 episodes on the state of Florida. We basically covered the entirety of the state, from the Big Cypress Everglades area to the Ocala National Forest, the Green Swamp, and even the Panhandle. That was a lot of fun. But we're definitely going to go back to Florida. So that's probably going to be this winter, starting with a return to the Big Cypress Preserve / the Everglades. So that would be, if people saw the sawgrass skunk ape, that's where we were really into those those areas. We found that Florida panther track. We experienced a weird wood knocking kind of incident. We talked to Dave Shealy, who is sort of Mr. Skunk Ape, Florida man embodied, very interesting character. So we're definitely going to be going back there. We have a lot of plans, new techniques we're going to try, new ways to get deeper into the Big Cypress. It's just such a large area between Big Cypress and Everglades. It's the size of Rhode Island, essentially, as a just wilderness. So, and most of it's got water, so it's very hard to get into some of those areas. So that we're really excited to go back there. Another one that people remember or will be familiar with is New Hampshire. We've obviously done 2 Bigfoot Beyond the Trail episodes in New Hampshire so far. We're going to be going to some similar locations, but also the northern part of the state where there's the legend of the wood devils, a lot of really interesting stories. So it's going to be kind of search for the wood devils. Alaska. So that's another one that we will be returning to. So we've already put out one Alaska related episode, but we haven't even started sharing the upcoming episodes from this remote cabin that we got to visit. And I mean, and that's going to tie into obviously On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Last Frontier, and kind of some of the feature film stuff. You'll see it sort of kind of like we've done in the past with Olympic Bigfoot and On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Discovery. There's a sort of tie-in that happens, which I think is really neat because you can either watch one of them or both of them. And ultimately, if you watch the film and our Beyond the Trail episodes, you'll be able to kind of get a more holistic understanding. So some of the stuff we found at that cabin and we experienced is pretty interesting. I think it's going to really interest people. Once those episodes start coming out, there's going to be more than one. I mean, we literally have a terabyte of footage from this remote property. And then another one is, of course, Bluff Creek. So as Seth mentioned, talking about On the Trail of Bigfoot, the origins, we'll also do a sort of tie-in thing where it's going to be us going back to Bluff Creek. Obviously, we had some pretty interesting stuff happen when we went there last summer. It's a great area. Obviously, the history with all the Bigfoot stuff is simply amazing. So that is definitely one that's on the docket. But as for new locations that we'd like to go to, I'll just start reading some of this off. And I see somebody's already guessing some of them in the chat there. We definitely have some pretty close answers, but we'll start with one we'd like to do is the swamps of East Texas. So for years, you've had stories out of the eastern part of Texas, a lot of swampland out there. We'd love to team up with our buddy Scott Tompkins of the Bigfoot Mapping Project, who has had an encounter out that way and obviously does some fantastic work. We've used that app extensively in some of our travels, and I think it's just it was actually just featured in the Wall Street Journal the other day in an article featuring like Amy Boo and Project Zubik and some of the other folks that people have seen in the Olympic Project, North American Wood Ape Conservancy, a lot of folks that have been featured in STM stuff before. So that would be a really cool one. Another one that we'd love to do is the Honey Island Swamp Monster of Honey Island, Louisiana. Of course, people will maybe have heard of that story, and that's a completely insane environment. Just it's mostly swamp, lots of water. So that would be a very interesting one. We've also got the Rocky Mountains in Idaho. Idaho for years has had a lot of Bigfoot stories coming out of that state. I mean, there's just so much woods and remote mountains, whether it's the Grand Tetons or either going up towards the Washington and Montana borders, a lot of territory up that way. Somebody in the comments said Mogollon Rim. I think 2 people said Mogollon Rim. That I do have that on my docket here. That's definitely one we'd like to do. Obviously, home of the Mogollon Monster. So the Mogollon Rim is in Arizona for folks that don't know, and it's this really interesting plateau formation that has thick forests on either side. Some of the largest elk herds in the world move along that rim area. I've been out there before and had some pretty intriguing, stories that I've heard, and it seems like a very conducive habitat. So we'd love to get out there. Then another one people might be familiar with that we'd like to go to is Area X in Oklahoma. So folks will be very familiar with that, of course, with Seth went down there with Adam for On the Trail of Bigfoot, the original On the Trail of Bigfoot. Really interesting, kind of the way the North American Wood Ape Conservancy approaches that area. Absolutely. A lot of fascinating stuff has come out of there. So that's definitely a big one on our list. We've talked extensively to some of the members, and there's just a lot of history there. And I think it would be a really interesting tie-in again to On the Trail of Bigfoot to go back there and look into that story again. And then another one we have is the Sierra Nevada Mountains in California. So people obviously are familiar with stuff like the Sierra Sounds, lots of alleged Bigfoot stories out of the Sierra Nevada Mountains. Kathy Strain is out that way as well. She's done some fantastic work. So that's an area we'd like to look into. And then the last one, I guess, and some of these are subject to change. I mean, there may be new ones added on, stuff taken off, obviously what's more realistic, but this is the absolute stretch. I mean, this is one that I think nobody's done yet. I think it would be really interesting. So recently I spoke to, this past year, I spoke to a gentleman in South Africa named Gareth Patterson, who's been collecting stories of a creature in South Africa known as the Otang. And there's pretty credible reports. I mean, I literally just the other day got a message from somebody that lives in South Africa talking about history of sightings in their village, kind of up against this rainforest area. So the South African Otang, that's the absolute stretch goal. I mean, that would be totally crazy to do. I don't think anyone's ever done it before. Very out of our element in terms of not being in North America as well. And it's a look at a different hominid report in the world. So yeah, that's pretty long list there. But, like I said, it can be subject to change. There may be stuff we add. There may be stuff that, we focus on a little bit more heavily because, there's so many great places to go. But that for folks that were curious what some of the ideas in 2023 look like, that's your Bigfoot Beyond the Trail sort of roster.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Beyond the Trail has grown so much too from what we originally talked about, which was just kind of this project with you going into the woods looking for Bigfoot. We did not know where did we just hit a milestone. What was it? 5 million?
We just hit 5 million views. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just the other week.
Yeah.
We were and to put it in perspective, less than a year ago, we were at 1 million collective views, and now we're at 5. It was like I think it was December, maybe December or January of this past year. It was 1 million views, and less than a year later, we're at 5 million. So
yeah, wild. All right, so we have more coming, obviously for the year. Let me see, where do we go next? Let's talk about. I don't see. Oh, there it is. All right. Sasquatch Unearthed, currently running with Sasquatch Unearthed The Ridge. We are very excited to announce that there's more coming. So Sasquatch Unearthed season 2 will be coming in early 2023. The next series, we don't have it on here, and this isn't officially locked down, but we are hoping it will be called The Mountain State and focus on the state of West Virginia for an entire season. Right now, we're really focused on that Chestnut Ridge area, but we are very excited to hopefully dive into the West Virginia Bigfoot lore. Beyond that, we've already got plans in place for season 3, and season 3 will take us hopefully back out to the PNW for an entire season. So we have a plan we're working on with I don't want to give too much away, but they're a group that's been in a previous On the Trail of Bigfoot, which probably gives it away, but nonetheless, there you go. We start filming this probably fairly soon, and hopefully it will shoot over the course of late 2022 and then into 2023. But we also still have at least 3 episodes of The Ridge still to come, so stay tuned for those as well. And then let me see here. We have one more YouTube series to drop to announce, which is Eli Watson's Mysteries and Monsters, which is currently filming out in Washington and Oregon right now. So Eli's already shot multiple episodes. I talked to him yesterday. I don't know. He didn't tell me not to say this, so I'm just going to say it. They found tracks. So wherever he is, he's somewhere deep in the woods. I've honestly had a hard time tracking who he's with, because I'm hearing like one day he's with Cliff Barrickman, the next day he's with Mark Marcel, and then he's like out in the woods. So I don't know what he's up to, but I just know that yesterday they found a track line, not just a single track, but they found a track line of 15-inch tracks in the woods out there. And it sounds like some pretty crazy interviews he's had as well. This series will not just focus on Bigfoot, although that will be a heavy focus throughout. But each episode will kind of look at a different phenomenon. I know that there were interviews shot with Kenneth Arnold relatives. So there's apparently we're diving back into UFOs a little bit with this series as well. So that I'm not entirely sure on when we launch. What did we just talk about yesterday? Like January, February?
Mm-hmm.
Probably
February
of this year is when we'll probably be getting into that. Now I got to figure out how do I stop sharing? my screen. Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that takes us through all the YouTube and feature film projects. That's not all we have going. Obviously, if you're following us, we have the book line, which just launched as well. We already have a book out, which is the
Curious Creatures, the Vegetable Man.
Curious Creatures, the Vegetable Man, which is a children's book about the vegetable man in West Virginia, which we highly recommend you picking up a copy by going on our website and buying it. It's also available on Amazon. Beyond that, on November 7th of this year, what happens then, Heather?
The Kinderhook Creature, A Personal Reminiscence by Bruce G. Hallenbeck will be released.
Which is something that I'm extremely excited about. This ties back into On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Journey, and maybe Alex will talk about it in his BTT as well. I don't know. But
no pressure, Alex.
Alex needs to read the book.
That entire episode will just be Alex reading the book to the camera. So stay tuned.
It's an audiobook format.
No, this is something I've been really excited about for a while. When we first started talking about doing a book line 2 years ago, Bruce was one of the first people I spoke to about putting a book out under the imprint. And so we are very excited about this. Do you have a page count or anything? Can we tease anything?
You know what? We probably did if I would have thought about it.
We did have a page count, but I just thought I'd throw people
out
into the midst of this chaos. We do have an amazing book cover by Easton Hawk for that one. So, but the book comes out on November 7th and will be a really in-depth and personalized look at the Kinderhook creature sightings in New York. So we're excited about that. Beyond that, what is it?
It's on. Okay, so Courtney's like, you just forwarded it to me. So I'm like, all right, there it is, but I don't have page numbers. And she goes, well, it's 188 KB.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, you guys.
The file size.
That's the file size.
We know what the file size is in case you guys need
photos.
that information.
There was something.
Someone wants to see the cover.
Yeah, I wish we could, but I can't.
Teased it on Instagram.
We'll post everything that we're talking about today is going to get posted on social media either today or over the course of the remainder of the week. So stay tuned for that stuff.
Our website also has information, and it does have a little bit of a teaser for that book cover. The book, when it comes out, will be on our website, like the Veggie Man, as well as on Amazon. And someone in the chat asked before where they could get our movies on DVD, and the answer to that is our website as well. We have a web store. We ship out the DVDs. If you want them digitally, you can get them at all the digital places.
All the digital.
Amazon,
places.
iTunes, Voodoo, Tubi, all that.
I wanted to show this comment because I thought it was very sweet. I really enjoy all of you. I've been sick and will never visit these great places, but I go with you on these trails or beyond the trails. Even if nothing happens, I just enjoy all the beautiful places, creeks, rivers, hollers, valleys. So I became a member and I thank you.
Awesome. Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it is a big, even going back to the earliest days of STM before we had budgets, like putting the audience in the places we're going has always been a big part of it. That's something that I see a lot of creators that work in this space kind of miss in their constant need to sort of put out new evidence. They overlook the simple setting of locations, but that's a big deal for an audience, and especially people who can't go to some of these places. So one of the things that I love about what we do is that we get to take an audience along to where we're going. That should be really apparent with like Last Frontier, especially because I think that was really important to everybody that made the movie, that we would take the audience with us into Alaska, because a lot of people won't get to go there. So
yeah, if I could just add to that, I think that's so much of what we focus on Bigfoot Beyond the Trail, of course. Especially in some of these areas where we're just literally off the trail. And I get so many messages from people saying, oh, I love what you guys are doing just for the scenery, just for being able to go out there. I can't, like that message read, I'm not able to go out in these areas. Oh, I can't travel right now, that sort of thing. So for us, it's just one of the biggest things. I mean, we're so lucky to be able to go to some of these environments. I mean, just like Seth mentioned with the Alaska thing, I'm so excited to share some of these locations that are just so remote. I mean, and we are putting ourselves at risk to get out to some of these places, just how remote they are and how many things can go wrong. But that's, one of the biggest focuses, obviously, aside from telling a story or showing any kind of alleged evidence that we may have come across, is just showing the settings. That's such an important part of this phenomena, of the stories surrounding it. I mean, just how conducive a habitat is. So that's a huge deal. And we really strive to show that natural kind of wonder for what it is, because it's just incredible.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Especially
there's a pretty interesting comment there. About the learning more about wilderness through STM than from any other source.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. So that's pretty cool.
I've seen Christine say that elsewhere too. So that is super cool. All right, real quick. Love Bloodlines at Mothman Fest. Much love from a very proud Piney. You guys did us proud. That's awesome. I actually haven't talked to many people that got to see the movie. We showed it Friday night following Mothman Legacy, and it was the night before the festival, and the festival was chaos. And I think a lot of people were just ready to get sleep after Mothman Legacy ended, and the movie didn't start till like 10 o'clock. So it was late at night by the time it started. So I didn't even stick around for the premiere of it. But I'm really glad to hear that people enjoyed it. We're very excited to get the movie out, even though we have to wait until the end of November. If you're a Kickstarter backer, just be on the lookout for the digital links coming soon, and then DVDs will probably be to you before the movie is actually like on streaming platforms and stuff. Someone asked, let me see, do you guys feel that Bigfoot could exist even though it's unlikely? Yes, I think they do. I've seen one, so I do believe they exist at this point. I can go ahead and say I'm 99% sure they're out there, unless I'm losing my mind.
Max is yelling, they exist.
They exist.
Yeah, I'm definitely more on the they do exist side. Just, I've never seen one. I've never had, experience I can 100% say, but we've had some really weird things happen out there. Not all the time, very rarely. I mean, this is like 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. I mean, that's just the truth when you're out searching for Sasquatch, and most eyewitness sightings are coincidental. Somebody sees it crossing a road, or they're out hiking. They weren't expecting it. That's the vast majority of eyewitnesses. It's just the right place, right time. But one of the things that really throughout this series, Bigfoot Beyond the Trail, is, as we talked about the wilderness there, I think people underestimate how much woods and wilderness are still out there in North America alone. It's actually frightening how much is still out there. And yes, there are people in some areas, but I mean, we're talking about areas that you're not even that far off the beaten path where you can fall off a cliff and never be seen again. I mean, so there is still so much territory out there that something could easily stay hidden. I think it does.
Yeah. Having said that, I get why people ask the question, and like you said, it is unlikely that they exist. They do exist, but it's we have as many questions as we do answers. We don't really have answers. We just have questions. Questions upon top of question. Which state was Seth sighting at? It was in Ohio. If you're interested in watching the episode where I had this sighting, it's episode 1 of the Bigfoot Project, which you'll notice we did not announce a new season of Bigfoot Project for 2023. That isn't to say that it's not going to happen. I'm just not sure yet how or when we're going to manage it. So it's not something I've given up on. Obviously, I really enjoyed making that show, but we're just the current cycle of filmmaking that we're on does not necessarily allow for an immediate opportunity for me to run out into the woods for nights at a time, unfortunately. There's more questions. Questions are coming in hot. The real question is, what are they? So Alex is the expert, so we'll let him answer that.
I don't know. I wouldn't say expert. I don't know. There's a lot of theories. Obviously, nowadays, a lot more people are probably gravitating towards the paranormal side of things. I mean, I don't personally. I think that's in the lack of evidence, people are sort of resorting to that. I mean, there are weird things that happen for sure, but if I had to guess, I'd say something somewhat related to humans, but sort of an offshoot. there's a lot of Australopithecine type ancestor things that we have, and they're always discovering new fossils around the world in some of these areas where these are found. So, I mean, I don't know. It has to be something obviously related. It's something ape-like. I mean, people get really offended by saying they're apes, but I mean, humans are apes. I don't see how that's offensive. It's even if it's not a biological entity, it's clearly something ape-like. I mean, if it's an alien, it's an ape-like alien, right? So I don't know. The answer, I guess, is I really have no clue. But we shall see. Hopefully we can unearth that or figure out what's going on.
This is cool. I actually go out and investigate because of small town monsters, because I live in a super small town in PA. We don't have a stop sign in or out, so it's small. One end of town runs right into the forest.
Nice.
Super cool to hear. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot coming, guys. We're going to be working our butts off from here on out. We never really stop at STM. But I think this is going to end up being, I say this every year, but I think it's going to end up being our biggest year. And every year, that's just what we say. So, what is going to be the proof that would convince the general population? Someone said a body, or like a head would be great. An arm, something, any body part that is clearly not from a person would be wonderful. So, yeah, I think we're going to call it, we're going to post, what? Squad. I did want to mention this. All right.
Got a new member, by the way.
Yeah. I just saw Mike Anthony just joined. So thank you, Mike, for becoming a squad member. If you're curious what a squad member is, they are our channel members here on YouTube. You can choose to join for like a subscription fee for each month. Members get ad-free, usually 4K, usually early cuts of all the major content that goes up on YouTube. So if you're a member, you usually get Beyond the Trail at least a day or two before everyone else. You always get it in 4K, and there are no ads. Yeah.
No ads, no titles, no sponsor ads, nothing.
Yeah. So that's the big plus to being a member. And also you're helping support the content we create on YouTube, which we're going to just continue building on over the years. So beyond that, what else do we got? Anything else I need to say?
We did the books. We talked about Monster Fest.
Monster Fest,
we
be
did
there.
The movies.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, Alex, anything else that I needed to talk about?
I don't think so. No, just obviously we love all the interaction that people give us. People give us suggestions. I mean, places to go. We get emailed pretty much weekly. I get messaged weekly with reports, sightings. I mean, people will tell us about areas that we've been in that, they're like, oh, I had this happen there. So anything you guys want to send our way, feel free to send. And we'd love to check it out and talk with you and listen to what's going on.
Yeah, and this is a good one. Mike Archer asked, any status on remaining awards for this year's campaign, specifically the Mothman statue? We already have the bulk of the rewards in office, so we are ready to send them out. We have to get. I just did an update on Kickstarter, so if you're a Kickstarter backer, you can go check the latest update, or you can check the newsletter that Heather sends out each week. But we are readying the rewards to go out. I think they'll be going out now with Jersey Devil, because we've got the bulk of them in office. So I would look for them in November, and that will be the remainder of the rewards. As far as the Jersey Devil statue, Gene had given me an update on it a couple months ago, and the sculpt was looking amazing. The statue is always the last thing to go out. So if you're a backer and you're wondering where the statue is, it's usually like the last thing we send out is the statue. So I would look for that either in November or even into December. So
Last Frontier will probably be after that, with getting out later.
Yeah.
I have one thing too, that comment from Mike Casey there about the Blue Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually on my list. I totally forgot to mention that one. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
Mike Casey,
Bigfoot and with Mike Casey.
Okay, let me look. Man, I don't see it.
Oh, whatever. But Mike Casey, awesome. Thanks for coming in, man. Yeah, that's one. Actually, I totally forgot to mention that one. That's another Beyond the Trail we've thought of. So people have heard of the Paul Freeman footage and the alleged Blue Mountain kind of Bigfoot stuff that's been going on for years. And it's obviously very controversial in Bigfoot circles. We'd love to get out to the Blue Mountains and check out the Paul Freeman site and kind of give it our own take and see what's going on.
All right,
So
Mark. Mike. We actually had a couple of people ask similar questions. So the way the Kickstarter works is it only runs for about a month. Usually it's 30 days. And this past year started in February and was over in very early March. So unfortunately, there's no way to back the Kickstarter after that initial 30-day launch. We are going to try. Can't guarantee this will happen this year, but eventually we do want to get to the point where there's options between backing on Kickstarter and backing directly on our website. So we're going to try to figure that out for this year. That way, I know there's a lot of people that use like PayPal and Venmo who can't do it through Kickstarter, who want to figure out how to do that. We're hoping this year we can do something directly on the site, but it wouldn't be exactly what is on Kickstarter. So keep that in mind. We're going to try to figure that out. But yeah, if you're a backer or you're interested in backing this year, this is going to be the year to do it. We're really interested in seeing how Chupacabra does, because if it does well, the plan would be to make that a new thing. Each year we would create a Kickstarter exclusive title that only our backers would get. So yeah, I think that's
we're going to be conventions coming up.
Oh, we'll be at Cryptid Con in November. I forget the dates for that one. We will be okay. Now I got to look at my. All right, hold on. All right, so in October we are at the Chautauqua Bigfoot Expo on October 21st and 22nd. That's an event we've done a number of times. On October 8th, we are at the West Virginia Case Paranormal Expo in Morgantown area, somewhere around Morgantown, which is Les Odell's event. And then we are sponsoring Cryptid Con. And I'm not sure yet how many people are going to be there, but a number of us are going to be there. So that's the plan. So if you're interested, come hang out with us at Cryptid Con. Mr. Booberry asked, which Chupacabra version will be the focus, alien type or canine? How about both? I want to do Chupacabra is going to be similar to the Legend movies, but broader in that we're going to explore the history of the subjects on a much more wide scale, from a much more wide scale standpoint. So it's not On the Trail of Bigfoot. It's not American Werewolves. It's not the Legend movies. It's going to be kind of its own specific thing. So, but all right, guys, we're going to wrap up. A ton of you came in here, so thank you for watching and joining in. The Kickstarter launches February 2nd of next year. Go on our Instagram to check out the individual teaser images, and then we will be dropping posters, a couple of posters over the next week or two, because we actually have posters for Land of the Missing and Texas Dogman. So we're excited about that, and we'll probably show you guys the cover for the book, for Aaron's book, because it's pretty amazing. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Alex, thanks for joining us. I got nothing else to say. I'm just gonna stop talking. All right, goodbye.
All right, bye.